Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television in Lagos. A reminder of our top stories: Nigeria, South Africa, and Benin Republic straighten out tough economic and bilateral issues on the sidelines of the ongoing Ticket 7 in Yokohama, Japan. 24 hours after the U.S. announced a review of visa fees for Nigerians, federal government slashes visa fees for Americans effective from tomorrow. Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu seeks better collaboration with Interpol and Immigration Service to track down criminals abroad. And controversy trails the Queen's approval of Prime Minister Johnson's request for suspension of the UK Parliament from mid-September, a few weeks before the Brexit deadline. Now, for more information on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com. youtube.com/channelsweb has videos of our shows. We go to Taraba State now, where gunmen today killed a truck driver at Yoma village of Wukari local government area. The driver was shot dead while conveying cement to an unknown destination. The Yona highway has been deserted by drivers due to the frequency of attacks, and motorists, except for a few, who are able to employ the services of security officials while plying the road. Meanwhile, a similar attack was carried out in neighboring Donga local government area, where a student of Ekwa Seminary School was shot dead this morning on his farm. The local government chairman confirmed that a friend to the slain student was also kidnapped by bandits. In neighboring Warma village in Kurfi LGA of Katsina State, 15 women were abducted, and the abductors carted away an unspecified number of domestic animals. The public relations officer of the Katsina State Police Command, Mr. Gambo Isa, who confirmed the attack to Channels Television, said a team of police officers engaged the hoodlums in a gun battle, as a result of which the team rescued 10 of the women unhurt. He also explains that while the hoodlums escaped into the rough Urugu forest, search parties had been dispatched into the surrounding bushes with a view to rescuing the other victims. Elder statesman Chief Afe Babalola has joined the League of Role Models in Africa after being honored by the African Union for his positive and iconic roles in development. The AU team says the legal icon is eminently qualified to take a lead role as Africa hopes to move up the ladder of transformation and progressive development. Our correspondent, Babajide Agbeyo, reports.
It's another celebration and recognition for the highly revered Chief Afe Babalola, this time of continental significance. The legal luminary is among 5 African role models chosen by the African Union as a noble ambassador for the AU Agenda 2063, a 50-year continental transformation plan to up the game for Africa.
I present the award.
A customized number plate also accompanies the package. The state government and other leaders of note are full of accolades for their iconic personality and his works.
The products of this university, which is really the most essential aspect of this university, are a pride to this university and a pride to the state.
To the African Union team, this honor is well deserved.
For us in the African Union, Baba Afe Babalola is a continental role model indeed. His scholarship award to indigenous students form a catalyst implementation platform for African Union continental education strategies for Africa.
The new AU Special Ambassador is delighted with the accolade and hopes to see Africa excel in a short while.
What Nigeria needs today is a bill sponsored by the government asking the Senate to pass a law for the convocation of Sovereign National Conference, whose membership will be elected on zero-party system. It's only through a true federal constitution that transformational leaders can emerge, and a true Nigeria can emerge from over 300 nations called Nigeria. Africa needs leaders who can transform the country. The Renaissance has started in abroad, Abuad is a clear leader in the formation of education.
It is an honor with a frontline responsibility, and Chief Babalola is confident that this latest feather to his cap will only spur him to even greater attainments. Babajide Agbeyo, Channels Television News.
And time now to go to our Abuja studios where Linda Akibe is standing by. Good evening, Linda.
Good evening, Ladi, and welcome to Abuja. Now, a federal high court in Abuja today sat over two prominent cases bordering on the defense of human rights involving the proscribed Islamic movement in Nigeria, IMN, and the convener of Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore. Justice Evelyn Maha, who presided over the two suits, refused hearing the motion filed by Mr. Sowore challenging his detention for 45 days by the Department of State Services. The judge declined all the applications filed by Mr. Showore's counsel, Femi Falana, and sent the case back to Justice Taiwo for further hearing. On the suit involving the Islamic movement in Nigeria, the court fixed September the 11th to hear the motion filed by the IMN, asking the court to vacate the ex-parte order it gave on July the 26th, prescribing its activities in the country.
It's another day of legal fireworks for the convener of Revolution Now, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, who is presently being detained by the Department of State Services over alleged terrorism. Mr. Sowore had on August the 9th approached the court seeking an order to vacate the ex parte order empowering the DSS to detain him for 45 days. Justice Taiwo had, in a ruling on an ex parte application on August the 8th, 2019, ordered Showore's detention for the said period to enable the DSS conclude its investigation on allegations levied against him. Attempts by Mr. Femi Falana to have the application determined meets a brick wall, as Justice Evelyn Maha declined hearing the application on the grounds that it will amount to reviewing the order of a court of equal jurisdiction. Lawyer to Mr. Sowore speaks on his next line of action.
The court has just delivered its ruling, right? We're going to meet with our client today in order to take a decision on the matter. But in the interim, we are back to the Honorable Justice Taiwo as per the ruling of the court.
Justice Maha, in another suit filed by the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, granted the application of the federal government seeking an extension of time to enable them regularize their processes. Lawyer to the federal government explains the reason behind the application, just as the lawyer to the Islamic Movement of Nigeria vows to challenge the proscription of the group.
The federal government came to court to obtain order for proscription. The IML also filed a motion to set it aside. So this morning we have already filed a counter affidavit opposing the application. And this morning what we judge is to clear for the argument. We are already opposing the application, and the court has granted us the 11th day of September for the argument.
They filed their papers last night, even though it was convenient to get the order, you know when they got the order. But they only filed their papers last night, and we needed to react to it.
Although the application by Mr. Sowore challenging his detention has been returned to Justice Taiwo for hearing, the court adjourned the suit filed by the Islamic Movement of Nigeria to the 11th of September 2019 for hearing.
At least 10 houses have been destroyed in Dutsen Kura Hausa community in Mina, the capital of Niger State, as a result of erosion. The residents are afraid that the constant floodwaters would lead to an outbreak of diseases, and they are appealing to the state and federal governments to come to their aid. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
This is what standing on the brink looks like. Anything can happen at any time. That has become the story of Dutsen Kura Hausa community in Mina, the Niger State capital. Erosion, collapsed buildings, just some of the aftermath of the flood that comes whenever it rains.
More than 10 houses have been destroyed by the flood, rendering residents homeless. What we are asking for is help from government.
The water trapped on their streets is yet to find its way out. but the residents have found ways to adapt to their many challenges, including the health issues.
We're in a pathetic situation. When it rains, we can't stay in our houses. Even at night, we have to stay outside until the rain is over. We're always going to the hospital as a result of malaria. Sometimes we can't even afford the hospital bills and our children keep falling sick.
What they do now is call for help.
We pray that the federal government will come to our aid as soon as possible, because looking at it now, no one knows what will happen. If you look at down there, you will see that so many houses have gone down. So I'm going to appeal to Mr. President to direct the Minister of Special Duties, who is in charge of ecological funds, to come and see what is happening, the devastating effort of flood in Niger State.
While they wait for the intervention from government, residents are asked to move to higher grounds and start building on water channels.
At least more than 50 persons have been rendered homeless in this place, not even putting into consideration the outbreak of diseases. Hopefully, the state government would come to the rescue of these people by providing them the necessary succor. From Dusankura in Niger State, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
The federal government is alleging that the leader of the proscribed Islamic movement of Nigeria, IMN, Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, has a plan to establish an Islamic state in Nigeria. The government is also alleging that the cleric had the full support of the Iranian government to achieve this aim. The allegation is contained in a counter-affidavit filed against the IMN's motion challenging the Federal High Court's order of July the 26th prescribing the group. The matter is also before Justice Nkonye Maha of the Abuja Division of the Federal High Court, and she has fixed September the 11th for the hearing of the motion. And when the News at 10 returns, controversy trails the Queen's approval of Prime Minister Johnson's request for suspension of UK's Parliament from mid-September, a few weeks before the Brexit deadline. That's an international scene with around the world in 5. Join us again.